welcome to my channel and first video in the series of retirement planning. Today, we will evaluate the most talked about retirement product in India, NPS, that is National Pension Scheme. Many say it's just another product where the returns are not attractive. I'm sure many of us would have researched about the product here on YouTube and elsewhere, and many still cannot say for sure if it's actually a good decision. I know some of us have opted for NPS just for saving few thousand in taxes. Now, without further ado, let's begin this session and try and answer the big question. Is NPS the right choice? Though we are aware of the product details, but for the benefit of those participants who still do not know enough on NPS, we will take a brief overview of the key benefits of the scheme. And then we'll work on the numbers. So stay with me till the end for uncovering the mystery behind the returns that can be generated using NPS and if it is actually worth investing in this product. We all know the NPS or National Pension Scheme was started by Government of India for government employees in the year 2004, January 1st. And this was a voluntary retirement scheme which was extended to all of citizens in 2009 starting May 1st. Now this NPS is regulated by PFRDA, Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority. As you can see, I have listed 4 asset classes, namely equity, corporate bonds, government bonds, and alternate assets as 4 different classes in which the NPS fund manager invests the money. Now, for the purpose of this session, we are going to concentrate on 2 key benefits. One is the tax benefit and another one is the maturity benefit. Okay, so under tax benefit, there are 2 kinds of accounts in NPS. One is tier 1 and tier 2. For tier 2, there is no tax deduction that can be claimed. But for tier 1 account, which is a mandatory account, we have tax benefits under 3 heads. The first one is under ATCCD1, wherein we can claim up to 1.5 lakhs if invested in this NPS account. Under ATCCD 1B, additional 50,000 tax benefit can be claimed, and we will keep this particular benefit in mind when we are calculating our returns. Okay, now the third one is under ATCCD2, wherein employer's contribution to NPA is tax exempt up to 10% of basic or the DA. Now for government employees, that amount is up to 14%. Now at the maturity, as we all know, 60% of the amount is tax free, which can be claimed lump sum, and remaining 40% everyone has to buy a annuity plan, and we'll see which all annuity plan providers or service providers are there and the list of pension fund service providers, and we will move from there. Now, talking about the tax benefit, let's see what is the maximum tax benefit that a person earning 9 lakh rupees as his basic and DA salary will be able to save. Now, I have put down a calculation here for a salaried individual. If the basic salary is 6 lakhs and 3 lakhs as a DA, under ATC 1.5 lakhs of deduction can be claimed, and under ATCCD 1B, 50,000 additional deduction can be claimed. And if the employer is also contributing towards this account, additional 90,000 can be claimed up to 10% of the salary proceeds. So overall, 2.9 lakhs of salary or tax deduction can be availed under this particular scheme for an individual earning 9 lakhs as a basic and DA salary. Okay. Now let's move ahead with the list of pension fund service providers and annuity service providers. So we have 2 sections. One is government sector and second one is private sector. You can pause here and make a note of the list. I'm not going to spend more time on this particular section. This is self-explanatory. Now, we see that here mostly talked about HDFC, ICICI, and LIC are the three leading fund service providers, and also under annuity plan providers. Let's see the kind of returns these three fund providers are giving us till date. So in this slide, what I have done is I have collated till date returns of all these service providers. Okay, so as we can see, HDFC Pension Fund Management Company generated till date from the date of its inception is 14.96%. And in Tier 1 corporate bonds, the yield was 10.71%. Now, if it is interesting to note that overall, more or less, we are seeing good returns in HDFC and ICICI. LIC is lagging behind in equities section by 2%, 2 to 3%. However, rest other returns are comparable to HDFC and ICICI group. Now, let's understand how the fund is allocated between these three asset classes, or basically four asset classes. What I've done is I've put together a table wherein all the asset classes with the percentage of allocation has been mentioned, and we will go through them and understand how we can do that. Okay, so let's talk about some asset allocation in NPS funds. Now, we can have three kinds of plans in the NPS. One is aggressive plan, second is moderate plan, and third is very conservative plan. So the returns will also vary with the plan type, and these are auto plans, and we also have an option of customized plan wherein we as an individual can go ahead and select the amount or percentage of allocation what we want to do in each of the asset classes. We must understand that all these three asset classes carry a specific risk. Namely, equity will have a higher risk than corporate and government bonds. Corporate bonds, on the other hand, are moderately risk, and government bonds are rated as low risk. Now, in this table, if we consider an aggressive plan, and which is auto in nature, if a person or an individual starts or takes this annuity plan at the age of 40, the fund manager will allocate the funds in the percentage of 55% in equity, 15 in corporates, and 13 government bonds. The important point is, as the year increases or the lifespan increases, the equity allocation is getting reduced because the risk-taking capacity is lesser in older aged individuals. Now, likewise, in moderate plans, it starts with 50% of allocation and goes up to 10% of allocation. And similarly, in conservative plan, equity will have a lesser allocation, and government bonds and corporate bonds hold a higher allocation. Now, NPS gives us a flexibility to switch between these auto plans. We can do that twice in a financial year. Also, if let's say someone is more actively involved in portfolio management or understands how the equity market works and he has time to invest, this account or NPS fund can be utilized as just like a mutual fund, and we can play around with the asset allocation. Now, we can switch between customized and auto allocation again twice in a year between the two, or if we want to have passive, we can switch between either aggressive to moderate, moderate to conservative only twice per financial year. Right? Now, let's see the kind of returns that NPS has generated over the years. So I have put together a table here, collated the data from various sources, and we see that in the asset class of equity, in Tier 1 NPS accounts, it has generated from 15% to little over 18%, or very close to 19%. Now, with 5-year returns in the same equity class is 13 to 15%. and in the time frame of 10 years, the return is varying between 10.45 to 10.86%. So this table is self-explanatory. Now what we are going to do is we are going to calculate for an individual aged 40 the returns that can be generated. Now, what I have done here is I have put together a formula, and if I change the number automatically based on these tables, the anticipated return will be returned. Okay, so let's say if a person is at 35 and I'm sorry, this is 36. So the anticipated return, if in the aggressive plan, would be 11.49, the best case scenario I have taken here, and moderate and conservative likewise. Now, to generate returns from equity or from any investment is more art than science. So we will creatively use our understanding of the returns or anticipated returns to see if actually NPS is beneficial or not. Okay, so let's move forward. We will talk about 40% of an individual aged 40, or we can talk about 50 as well. So we can see that even if the later we start this NPS or our retirement planning, even in the aggressive mode, we are not able to generate much return. And if we go to conservative, the returns are further lower. So we will start at individual aged 40, and so in an aggressive plan it's about 11%, moderate 10%, and conservative almost 10%. Okay, so we will go ahead and see and compare if instead of taking NPS or opening an NPS account, the individual went ahead with a different asset class which returns a CAGR of 12% over next 20 years, which would be better. Okay, and we have considered, and I have considered in this in my calculation, the inflation as well as the tax benefit. Okay, so on this slide, what we can see is we have two sections. One is for NPS, another one is for any different asset class for which it utilizes investment. Okay, so here I have also put together the life expectancy of Indian male and female, which stands at 68 years for Indian male and 71 years for Indian female. Now, I will talk about this, why I have put this numbers in detail once we are done with the calculation. Okay, so let's talk about an NPS. So let's assume that an individual aged 40 is in the tax bracket of 30%. Okay. Now, if we are in tax bracket of 30%, let's say I want to take the benefit of, again, remember the section 80 CCD 1B, wherein additional tax deduction is given for 50,000 rupees. What we can do is we can keeping that in mind, let's say I'm going to invest 40,000. That individual, 40 years of age, is going to invest 4,000 rupees per month, which is 48,000 rupees per annum. Okay. Now, over 20 years period, the total amount that gets invested is 9,60,000 rupees, and the gains at 12% would be, including the gains, the total maturity value would be 39,96,591 rupees. And remember the second point that we discussed, the 60% maturity value can be credited lump sum for that value, and that is non-taxable, right? So here the non-taxable component from out of this 39,96,000 would be 23,97,955. And since this is for a person who has retired at the age of 60, maybe we can utilize this in fixed deposits so that monthly income can be generated, or it can be utilized otherwise. Now, the remaining 40%, remember we have to buy and it is a must to buy an annuity, right? So we are left with 15,98,000 some change to be invested in the annuity plan. Now, what we see that if we are right now for senior citizens, the FD rate is 6.3%. Okay, for 6 years. So let's say if the person is investing in FDs to be secure, because in retirement we want to have a secured source of income. So we will be getting a per annum 1,51,071 rupees on the 60% that we got as a lump sum, and the annuity plan which we purchased from 15,98,000 will yield 95,803 rupees per annum. Okay, so overall per annum we are going to receive 2,46,000, and which is going to be tax exempt because if there is no other income source, so this will be still under the tax slab. Now, there is a field which I have mentioned as cost of investment. This takes into account, because see, remember, we have not invested 9,60,000 in one shot. What we are doing is we are doing a SIP, and once we do an SIP, we will have to consider, this topic is for another session. What I have done is I have taken discounted cash flow to arrive at the actual cost of investment, and I have also included the inflation impact. So we are actually investing 5,50,000 rupees approximately to get a benefit of 39,96,000. Now, at the same time, if we are going to invest that same 4,000 per month in a different asset class without any tax benefit, okay, what we are going to receive, we are again going to have the same maturity value. However, we will be liable to pay LTCG, and which stands at 10% currently. So if that is the case, over and above 1 lakh of capital gains, we are going to pay 10% tax. So we will be paying 2,93,000 rupees, some change as tax value. So basically, we are going to receive 37 lakh rupees approximately. Now, what we see here is there is a impact because of the LTCG on the other asset returns. Again, we will have to add the tax benefit that we got. So out of this 4,000 rupees that we were paying or investing in NPS, and since the person was under 30% tax bracket, the actual load or the investment cost was only 2,800 rupees. The rest 1,200 rupees went as a tax benefit, right? So basically 15,000 or 14,400 rupees was saved due to the tax. Now that amount, when we do a discounted cash flow analysis or a calculation, that comes to 1,71,773 rupees. So we are losing that amount also if we are not opting for NPS. Now, similarly, what's the FD return from this amount which we received after paying LTCG is 2,33,284, and the cost of investment in this scenario is more. Reason? Because we paid this amount as tax, or we had to pay this amount as tax. Now, let's see what happens if NPS, instead of returning 12%, it only returns 10%. Okay, so the invested amount remains the same because we are obviously investing 4,000 rupees per month. Now we see that the FD return is 1,15,773. Now, yearly income from the annuity that we will purchase, let's go to the website, which will, I have taken an example of ICICI Pru. So we will go there and see what is the return. So that amount is 12,25,115. Okay, so let's see what is the amount that we are going to get. We are going to get, instead of 95,000 here, and there are various options, and we can discuss on this. Maybe I'll roll out another video on the annuity plans and how to choose them wisely in the next video. Okay, for this video, let's concentrate on what's the amount that can be generated. As you can see, for 12.25 lakhs, the yearly return is 73,419 for one of the options under annuity. Let's see what happens to our calculation here. So with this, at 10% return, if the NPS generated 10% CAGR over 20 years after retirement, yearly return can be generated from the proceeds of 60% maturity value, non-taxable, and the annuity plan would be 1,89,000 rupees, which is fairly good considering the cost of investment was only 6,52,000 rupees. On the other hand, the cost of investment for other asset class which returned 12% CAGR over 20 years was 7,22,000. Right, so we see that the cost of investment is also expensive, and this is expensive because we had to bear an additional cost of 2,88,000 plus 4% cess on the since the person was in the 30% tax bracket, and which was based on the discounted cash flow analysis or calculation that comes to be 1,71,773. Right, now. Going back to this particular scenario, why I had mentioned the life expectancy of Indian male and female. So there is an option. If we go there in the pension or annuity plan, there is an option. If we see me and nominee, okay, let's say me and joint life. Okay, so what happens in this? After the death, the secondary annuitant continues to receive the same amount. So let's say the husband dies, the wife will continue to receive the same amount until her death. Okay, so this is another thing to keep in mind. If there is an early death for both husband and wife, we are losing the entire amount. Right, now, so how do we save that? So there is an option wherein the proceed will be returned to the nominee, right? So if the person dies, so see here, the lump sum which was invested, 12,25,115, is returned to the nominee, and there are some calculations based on it how much amount needs to be returned. It's another topic for how the annuity plan works, but this is what it is. So for this session, we will be considering that the entire amount here. Let's say here also we put 12%, for example, or then in this case, since we are comparing apples to apples, same amount of maturity value. However, we are having an extra load of the taxes that we have to bear, which in turn increases the cost of my investment here in this particular scenario. And the return based on the 37 lakh rupees is costlier to me as compared to what I will receive here. So here it will be 95,407. So because that would change, because here again this amount changes. So we see that NPS is a better option in this particular scenario, right? Again, this is for a specific case for a person aged 40 years in the tax bracket of 30%. Similarly, we will have to evaluate for other needs. There is no one size fits all in this scenario. We have to assess, calculate, and only then take an informed decision. Now, what I would also want to do in this session, some of my friends have requested, where do we check our balances and all? So we can go to CRA website and do all those things. So there is, and I will mention all these links in the description box. So you can go ahead and check that out. So this NPS CRA here, you will get all those links where we can find annuity service providers or PFSP providers, and then we can also find out the plan numbers and all those details, and any retirement advisory details also can be found out here. Also, if there is one pension calculator, you can utilize this to check how much returns would be generated in case, since I've done all the calculation in Excel, not everybody will be doing it. So you can play around with this tool and check. Okay, now there is also one website. Log in here for CRA and SDL website and check your balances, transaction details. So this is it for today. I hope you guys would have understood the details. How do we calculate NPS or any two investment types, and decide based on cost of investment and returns generated, we can decide which is better, which option to take. Right. So I hope you enjoyed this session, though it was a lot of information download. And if you like the video, do share with your friends. And till then, take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and bye-bye.